Hello everyone. So today's topic is the activity diagram. This is from a software project management subject, third year computer, and this topic is from third unit, that is activity diagram. How to draw the activity diagram. Now in activity diagram there are the two types of diagram we consider. That is, first is the activity on node and another is the activity on arrow. So today's part, first we will cover what is meant by the activity on node. Now, this is the predecessor table. Predecessor table is nothing but where you can assign the activities or the task immediate predecessors, that is nothing but the dependencies of that particular activities, and the duration, at what time that particular activity will complete their work. So first, using this predecessor table, we can design the activity on node diagram. So here A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, this is considered as the activities or the task. Now these are nothing but the immediate predecessors, that is the dependency, that is B depend on A, C activities depend on A activity, D activities depend on B activity, E activity is depend on B, again F is depend on C, then G is depend on E and F, H is depend on G, I is depend on G and H. So this is nothing but the dependency. Immediate predecessors are nothing but showing the dependencies and the time at which, so to complete the activity from B to A, it requires the duration of the 2 days. C to A required the duration of the 4 days. So in such a way that the different activities is having the duration. Now next is nothing but the activity on node. Now what is the difference between the activity on the node and activity on arrow? So first, in the activity on node, this task or this activity name, this circle is going to be, this circle which is shown here, it is called as a nodes. Okay, you can show in the form of the circle, or either you can show it is in the form of the square also. So when you are going to assign the activity name inside this circle, so that is called as the activity on the node, and when it is called assign this activity on the arrow, that it is called as activity on arrows. First I will show you. Suppose this is the activity A. First, if I want to draw, sorry, if I am going to write down the, this is activity, so this is activity A, then, and suppose this is activity B. Now this activity is going to be connect with the arrow. See, arrow is very important if you want to show the connection. Now here in this case, the B is depend on A. So here it is mentioned the B is depend on A. So by assigning the activity node on the B, you are going to show that B is depend on A and the arrow is going to move from A to B. So this is called as the activity on node diagram. Now suppose I am going to first erase this. Now suppose I want to draw the activity on arrow diagram. Now how it is going to be done? So first I will draw the arrow, and when I am going to mention my activity name on the arrow, so this diagram or this structure is called as the activity on arrow diagram, where you are going to mention your name on the arrow, activity name on the arrow, but in the activity on the node you are going to mention your activity name inside that particular node. So this is the difference. Please remember this difference. First we will see the activity on node, how to draw the activity on node diagram using the predecessor table, and after that we will also see how to draw the activity diagram using activity on arrow diagram using predecessor table. Now first we will see the activity on node diagram. Now my first activity is A, so by default activity on node diagram, my first node, so I already draw this circle here, and based on this I am going to draw the activity on node diagram. So my first activity name is A, so this is considered as my starting node. Now next is the my second activity is B, but my B is depend on A, and another activity is C, so my C is also depend on A. So here I am going to write the B, and my B is depend on A. See, this arrow is arrow is compulsory, otherwise it is considered as your wrong diagram. Then after that the C is also depend on A. So here is the another arrow, and here I am going to draw the C. Okay. Now next is the B. The D. D is depend on B. Also the E is also depend on B. Now here is the B, so I am going to write down that my D is depend on B. So this is nothing but my D, and my D is depend on B. So here D is depend on B, and E is also depend on B. Now this is E, and this E is also depend on B. Then next is the F. F is depend on C. This is my C, and here I am going to write down the F. You can draw this node one by one. I just for showing you in detail, I already draw this all the circles, but you can draw this one by one. Don't draw at all the circles at the same time. Okay, first draw A, then B and C, then dependency, that is A, B is depend on A, then C is depend on A, like that. Then F is depend on C, so this is F is depend on C. Then next is nothing but E and F. Now here my E and F, and this E and F, G is depend on E and F. So suppose this is my G. Now this is G, and this is E, and this is F. So my G is depend on E, and my G is depend on F also. Now next is the H. H is depend on D. Now here is the D, and this is the H. Now this H is depend on D. So this is comes under the H activity, and the last activity is nothing but the I, and I is depend on G and H. So here G, and this is H. So this is nothing but the I activity. So here the I activities depend on G and H. So this is the way you can draw. This is the way you can draw your activity on node diagram. How? First, assign the first node. It is considered as a blank. So this is considered as your starting node. Then after that, it is showing the B activity. Then draw the B with that particular node. It shows that your B is depend on A. So just make a connection from B to A, and then C is also depend on A. So make a connection that is with the arrow, that is A to C, that is your C is depend on A. Then next is the D and the B. D is depend on B. So here D, just draw the two node first, that is D and the E. Then show that is D is depend on B, and the E is depend on also B. So here is also is depend on B. Next is nothing but your F. Here showing the F is depend on C. Just draw another node F, and connect it with the C. Then next is the G. G is depend on E and the F, and H is depend on, sorry, I is depend on, last is G and H. So this is nothing but the activity on node diagram. Now based on this activity on node diagram, we are going to calculate the critical path or the longest duration to complete this particular activity. If you can see, the starting point of this activity is considered as A, that is the starting node, and the end node is considered as a I. Okay, and to finish this particular activity, this is going to be go through the three path, that is A, B, D, H, I. This is considered as a one path. Then A, B, E, G, I, this is considered as a second path. A, C, F, G, I, this is considered as a third path. Means if you want to complete this particular project or the activity, the three paths are there, and based on that you can calculate the which is the longest or the critical path to complete this particular activity. Now in next slide we will see this. Okay, so this is the neat and clean diagram of the activity on node. In first slide, I already show you how to draw the activity on node diagram. Now in this case, these numbers are showing the duration of that particular activity. That is, A is having the 5 days, B is having the 2 days, then C is having the 4 days, D is having the 5 days, E is having the 5, F is also having the 5, G 2, H3, and the I is also having the 5 days. Now next is how to calculate the longest duration on the critical path using this activity on node diagram. Calculate. Now next is how to calculate the critical path or the longest path. If you can see, these are nothing but the duration of each activity, and these are nothing the path. To complete this activity, that is starting node is considered as a and the end node is considered as I. To complete this particular activity, this is considered as a path 1. Then next is nothing but the this path. This is the part 2. Once a minute. So this is the first path, then this is the second path, and this is nothing but the third path. So that is A, B, D, H and I. So this is considered as a first. Then A, B, E, G and the I, this is considered as a second. And the A, C, F, G and the I, this is considered as a last path. Now first, how you are going to calculate? You are going to, there are 2 or 3 methods to calculate the critical path, but first we are only going to calculate based on the only duration. Rather than this, there are the another types, that is the using forward and the backward pass, and also based on the free float and the time float. That will that is also we can see in the next slide. Now next here, that is A to first A, B, D, H, I, we are going to calculate this. So first 5 plus 2, that is 7, 7 plus 5, 12, 12 plus 3, that is 15, and 15 plus 5 is the 20. So here the 20. So this is 20. Then next path is A, B, E, G and the I. So 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 5, 12, 12 plus 2, 14, 14 plus 5, 19. So this is nothing but the another duration, that is the 19. Then next 5 plus 4, 9, 9 plus 5, 14. Then yes, 5 5 plus 5, 10, and 10 plus 4, 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. Then 16 plus 5 is the 21. So this is A, C, F, G, I. That is this one, that is A, C, F, G, I is considered as the critical path and the longest path. So longest path is nothing. If you are going, if you have the question in exam based on the predecessor diagram, directly calculate, draw the activity on node diagram and the critical path or the longest path. So you are going to use this method easily without forward pass and the backward pass. But if there is a mention in your exam based on the predecessor table, first draw the activity on node or activity on arrow diagram, and after that find out the forward pass and the backward pass, and based on forward pass and backward pass calculate the activity on calculate the critical path or the longest path. So you are going to use this you are not going to use this method. This is only for the simple method based on only table. Okay, so forward password backward pass, there is a different method. For free float or the total float, there is a difference method. So hope you understand how you are going to draw first activity on node diagram, that is the base on your this predecessor table, how the dependency is going